usually I have no idea what I'm going to preach on the next week. And sometimes I get excited, like, I don't know what's going to happen this week. And I'm going to come across something or find something to preach on. And I just leave it up to God. And Brother Weatherford, I used to worry about what I was going to preach on. And probably the first, maybe the second time I preached on something, I asked Brother Weatherford because I had no clue. And I would get all anxious and worried about what I'm going to preach on. And I said, got any ideas what I could preach on? And he just looked at me, he'd pick up his Bible, and he'd just do that. There's plenty of stuff in there you can preach on. So, after a while, I just let the Spirit guide me. I would start trying to write it all down, what I'm going to say, everything. It's almost like I'm reading it, but no, that didn't work out very well either. So I have no idea what I'm going to say typically, other than I use this like a guide up here that I'm showing y'all. It keeps me kind of on pace also. Other than that, I probably couldn't preach the same thing twice, because I would say something different each time. So it's just the Spirit tells me to say, that's what I say. So today, I came across something, and that's because of my science background. I'm also interested a lot in science, and I'm reading stuff and looking at stuff. And what gets me a lot is when there's discoveries that point to God, but the people who are in the science world of it, they don't even realize it. They don't even see it. Long ago, that wasn't the case. Most everyone in the world who was writing and studying and things like that, they were godly people. And they were both Christians and they were both scientists at the same time. But that changed. We're going to talk about the beauty that God has designed into our world. And let me just read these verses. I know it's long and we're going to have to rush, and I don't know why I keep looking at that stupid clock over there. Philippians 4:8. Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are good, or of good report. That means any things that have a good reputation. That's what that means when they say of good report. If there is any virtue, if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on those things. Think about those things. That's what your mind should be focused on. Those things. The things which you learned and received and heard and saw in me, these do, and the God of peace will be with you. He's saying that focus your mind on the good things, the beauty in this world, all the things that are beautiful, things that are worthy, and you will have peace in your mind. Has anybody ever heard of the golden ratio? Anybody ever heard of that? Well, they've known about it for at least 300 years before Christ was born. And I say at least, and I'll show you in a minute. This is that on your left is the inside of a conch shell. If you measure the distance between the inner part and then the spiral, you will find a ratio that exists in all creation. It exists in our faces, the distance between our eyes, the side of our face, our ears, our noses. And then classical artists would design towards it. They would make sure that their paintings incorporated this ratio. Even if you pick up a daisy and you look at the daisy and you look at the center of that daisy, and you measure out to the outside rim of that inner part of that picture, you will have that ratio, which is 1.618. You divide the length by the length of that first ring is divided into the overall length from the outer side. You get the golden ratio. And then on a person's face, those measurements that is showing there, it's the same ratio you get is 1.618. The Greeks built their buildings and those utilizing those ratios. Mona Lisa was painted in that way. If you look at the spirals in your ear and measure those, you will arrive at the same ratio number. If you take your arm, measure from the tip of your finger to the end of your forearm there at the elbow. Take the distance from the palm of your hand back to there. Divide this distance into this total length. And I did it this morning. It's 1.618. Those measurements exist all through our body. The cosmetic world has picked up on this. And you don't have to start measuring your face and stuff. There's an app that does it for you. You can get the app. That's how we recognize beauty. It's based on those ratios. If your face is perfectly meets those ratios, you're considered beautiful. You can take things on the points on a butterfly and then the designs. You'll be able to find these types of ratios. If you look at a fish and measure from the center of its dorsal to its tail, same thing. Different points in that fish. Now you might say, well, okay, that's designed in the animals. If you take the spirals outside of a hurricane, 1.618. Say, okay, well maybe that's just nature on this earth does that. How about a galaxy out in space? 100,000 light years across a galaxy, and you still find this ratio from the center of that galaxy out to its rings. It's throughout all creation. All you farmers notice what that is, right? You're going to get some squash or some cucumbers or something. If you measure from that, you will also see that ratio. Same thing with a cabbage. Even if you make a whirlpool in the water, those little rings that are going around, if you measure from those into the center of it. This is a sideways picture so I can get some of it. Cody's going to see this. It's mine. And this is the Sistine Chapel at the Vatican, where Michelangelo painted most of this on his back. But he used that ratio in all of his paintings. So, DNA was discovered not that long ago in our history. So, under a microscope, you look at the DNA, there's a repeating distance between, they're not the same distance between each one, but there's a repeating difference between them, and then it repeats that again. And they found that golden ratio exists in the distance between these individual peaks in our DNA strands that God used to design us. So, God made all things good. What did he say when he completed each of his creations? It is good. You can translate that word, and you can translate it into beauty. He could also have said he created it and it was beautiful, or it is beautiful. So God made everything beautiful. He made it in His design. And He created our minds to seek out that beauty. Scientists have done research and they've done studies show that the brain processes the golden ratio-based shapes more smoothly and efficiently than any other proportions. The sequence is predictable and balanced, symmetrical and asymmetrical, and giving a sense of harmony and making it easier for the visual system to interpret. We automatically look for beauty in everything we see. Now, of course, there's a spin on this from the scientists saying, well, nature did this so that we could detect bad things not to eat, things that have gone bad. I mean, I've eaten an corn. It didn't form completely, but saying that would be kind of like that, but your mind automatically, that's why you can go through a grocery store and look through ears of corn and find that your mind will automatically pick it up and see if there's something different there. I was thinking about doing this, but I guess I'll go ahead and use Cody and Wade's greenhouse that got blown away by the tornado. Her and Wade used to grow some weird looking vegetables. They had tomatoes that looked like they had noses on them, and bell peppers that are all kinds of something newer was going on there. Those would not. I bet they didn't meet the golden ratio. But it's not just that God created it. He created beauty for beauty's sake. He even does it in the animal world. It says here, I'm not going to read it all, but it says that the peacock's tail, it has no functionality. In fact, it makes it almost impossible for the peacock to be able to fly. It's only there for the beauty. And if you measure between those dots on this tail, you will have the golden ratio. Okay. So, if this was all just about giving you guys some assurance that God designed everything and that this is proof that the universe is designed, that would probably be a good sermon, but that's only the half of it. See, there's moral beauty and then there's visual beauty. And scientists have done some experiments in that regard. One experiment had participants look at two types of images: pictures of beautiful faces, pictures of moral acts, such as a child protecting an injured pigeon with its own coat, people doing good things that you're seeing, like in a video or something, or somebody protecting someone, being kind to somebody, helping someone across the street, things like that. And the researchers then measured brain activity via functional magnetic resonance imaging. Both groups showed activation of the orbitofrontal cortex, the brain's beauty center. While physical beauty triggered basic reward pathways, moral beauty activated a broader network of regions involved in social understanding and empathy. In other words, the scientists said, this form of beauty, goodness with no payback, exerts the same effects on our brain, but on a deeper, more expansive level. We appreciate moral beauty more than we appreciate visual beauty. We appreciate people doing things right and being kind more than people looking at a picture. And what I didn't mention also, they did these studies with pictures, and they showed people these classical paintings that are designed with that golden ratio, and they showed modern art that has no way at all golden ratio. They have, they're making some points. And they took people and they put them in one group that's looking at the classical paintings, one group that's looking at the modern art, and one group they just sat them down in the office area in the museum where there's nothing, no decorations or anything. And they found the people in the modern art and the people in the office had no response to the art. In fact, the people in the modern art had no response in their brainwaves concerning beauty. They had the same response as the people in the offices. But the people who saw the modern art with the golden ratio and the beautiful landscapes and things like that, they had a response. So, moral beauty is ineffable. That's not a word we use much, ineffable. Ineffable means it cannot be expressed. You can't. It's so beautiful, I can't even describe it. I can't even express it. Plato, almost 3,000 years ago, the essence of beauty is virtue. I did a set of sermons on virtue, and that's basically just all people doing the right things, not lying, not cheating, not being mean, not stealing. Plato said that's the essence of beauty. Witnessing exceptional virtue, courage, kindness, resilience, selflessness activated the same areas of the brain, but more than art. When one's character tends towards selflessness, kindness, and tolerance, this is the purity of a person. This is how you are designed. The purity means that's the way you were designed and it hasn't been corrupted. You're pure. And when I read stuff written 2,500 years ago or more by philosophers, I think how smart they were and how we're kind of going downward. Philosophers have contemplated this for thousands of years. Plotinus said, beauty is the mask that goodness wears. Beauty is something divine, and it's something that's given to human beings by a divine source. He said that to perceive and embody true beauty in one's art and daily life, one must first purify the soul. However, anybody ever heard and said, don't be ugly? We've known this. Don't be ugly. We're not talking about physical beauty then at all. You're talking about being morally ugly. This is not a strange concept. Inherently, we know that. Don't be messy. We know this already. How many heard pretty is as pretty does? God made us to see, feel, think, and act according to His design. You can't have one. You can't have one, just one or the other. Well, you can actually. You can have the moral beauty, because the moral beauty will override any of the physical beauty. Because we saw the scientists prove that moral beauty is what people are more attracted to than the physical beauty. It doesn't matter how beautiful you are. You can be the most beautiful person in the world, but if you're a lying, backstabbing, narcissist, jerk, nobody's even notice anymore that you are good looking. They don't want to be around you because you're being ugly. God is truth, love, beauty, all the things good. Anybody remember the movie Dorian Gray? picture of Dorian Gray. It's Oscar Wilde. It's written in the late 1800s. Oscar Wilde was what they called a hedonist. Hedonist, he was do whatever you want person. He kind of wrote a book about his own experience. There's a movie, it's considered a horror flick, but it's almost like his life was. The guy, Dorian, a friend of his makes a painting of him. He was a very attractive man, and a friend of his paints his picture, and it's just a beautiful picture. And Dorian decides to sell his soul to the devil if the picture would age instead of him aging. So he hung it on the wall. But he noticed the picture it wasn't just aging, it was actually becoming ugly. And he noticed that when he did things that were bad, the picture would start changing. And so then he started hiding the picture in a closet. And then every once in a while he would go and look at it. And it just became this horrible, disgusting picture of a person. Because it was becoming ugly like his morals were. That's what he truly was, and that's how the world truly saw him. They didn't see the picture. They didn't see the beauty in himself. They only saw really what that picture was actually capturing. So, what happens in the world? What's going on? How do we get so out of whack from God's design and His purity? The world, which we know is ruled by Satan, moves us away from beauty. It draws us in using something originally beautiful and then twists it. And it keeps twisting it. And we don't notice it. And pretty soon we're stuck in something that's truly ugly. And we never even realized it. We forgot what the purity was, the pure thing that started. So images that are perceived as ugly, such as distorted faces or grotesque scenes, often evoke disgust or discomfort. But people can become desensitized to that over time. That's why the horror movies get more and more horrible. Because they didn't get the same reaction. It's like an addiction. Same thing, right? It's got to keep getting worse. Studies like one in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience indicate that asymmetrical or distorted visuals disrupt the brain's reward pathways, leading to feelings of displeasure or rejection, driving people into depression, anger, and hate. When you fill yourself with all of that, then that's the result. And when you fill yourself with beauty, it's watching and seeing beauty, getting out into nature, getting out of the house, seeing things in nature, appreciating it, then it activates your brain and you start feeling good. But if you're constantly filling yourself with all of the evil things in the world, and that includes sitting there and watching the news telling you of things, how horrible, and everything else, you've got to get away from it. And we shouldn't be surprised that we are depressed and anxious when we're filling ourselves full of all of that. They've studied it. They've proven it. So what happens when we just become so evil and we just fill ourselves with that evil stuff constantly and constantly? Well, it's happened before. Genesis 6:5-6. The Lord observed the extent of human wickedness on the earth, And he saw that everything they thought or imagined was consistently and totally evil. Their brains were full of just evil thoughts. And they were doing just evil. So the Lord was sorry he had ever made them and put them on the earth. You see, our minds are originally, in their pure form, are built to seek beauty. We see beauty. After a while, that can be lost. You can become blind to the beauty. You don't even see it. That's kind of like the hardening of our hearts when we can't get to a point where we will never return to God. Because we don't see the goodness of God. We become blind. And so they can no longer find God because they could not see Him. So He was sorry that He created them. There's no reason for them to even be on the earth in His mind. It's like, they can't even see me. I'm right here. And God can no longer look upon them because there was no beauty left in them. God doesn't look upon things that are no longer good as they were when He created them. And He said, it was good. It is good. When He created us, when He created the world. But we will never be perfect. And the only way we can truly see God is because Jesus Christ died as our Savior. And He covers our ugliness from God so that God can look upon us. And so that we can, through Jesus Christ, can see God. Otherwise, all of us have sinned. And none of us, we would not be able to find God on our own. We would not be able to see the goodness in God. And God would not be able to see us. Or would not want to see us. Because God can do anything. So beauty points us to God. Plato wrote that when we see beauty down here in nature or human creation, it reminds us of something beyond and orients our gaze upwards. We always attribute that. When we see something like amazing, and I mean I do, and I know a lot of other people who do, and you say, look what God created. Look, it's amazing that God... That's what Plato was saying, that they were doing that 3,000 years ago. But today's modern world, they'll shut you down if you say something like that in public. So your mind is what it eats, like your body is what it eats. Right? Matthew 6:22 says, "The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness?" He's basically saying what I just said in a different way, that we can't see. It's dark. We can't see in the darkness. Proverbs 12:5 says, "The thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsels of the wicked are deceitful." Don't listen to the wicked people. Don't listen to the stuff you know is not coming from something godly. That's what he's saying. Proverbs 15:26 says, "The thoughts of the wicked are an abomination to the Lord, but the words of the pure are pleasant." Well, we should have a whole new appreciation of what pure is. We're in God's original design, and we're thinking that way. And that's what he's saying. You're not going to get anything good from listening to wicked people or wicked things. You know, this golden ratio is even in music. In classical music, you'll find this golden ratio in both the stanzas, the distance between certain parts of the song, and in the chords. That was during classical music. When classical music was written, they would attempt to incorporate that. But just like the visual art, that also went away. But there are some modern songs that have some closeness to the golden ratio, and I'll mention a couple of them. So Jackie can listen to Deep Purple, Child in Time. You can listen to that one. Let's go back to the 70s. And The Twist by Chubby Checker, Smooth by Santana, Mac the Knife, and How Do I Live by Leanne Rimes. I used to wonder why music, and that's what some of the advertisements and stuff now, the 70s music. Why was that so good? And why can't they make anything that people don't really want to listen to anymore? But I used to always say this because I would tell my son Clark all the time, because he had to listen to 70s music all the time when I was in the car. And I said, you know why that music's good, Clark? And he said, no. I said, because almost every one of those bands, almost every one of them, they went through classical music training in college before they started the band. And when I was doing this, I realized, okay, that's where they got it from, is in their college studies of classical music, and that formed a kind of a basis of what they wrote their music like, and that's why people are attracted to it still. This is a song that used to be in some hymnals. I don't know which hymnals it's in anymore. It's not in our hymnal, and it's not in the Heavenly Highways. But it's sung to Are You Happy and You Know It, Clap Your Hands tune. But it says, oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. There's a Father up above looking down in tender love. Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you hear. Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you hear. There's a Father up above looking down in tender love. Oh, be careful, little ears, what you hear. Oh, be careful, little tongue, what you say. Oh, be careful, little tongue, what you say. There's a Father up above looking down in tender love. Oh, be careful, little tongue, what you say. Oh, be careful, little hands, what you do. Oh, be careful, little hands, what you do. There's a Father up above looking down in tender love. Oh, be careful, little hands, what you do. And they spoke about the feet. And about little feet, where do you go? These are things we already know. This was written a long, long time ago. The things we forget and things that the world draws us away from, the more we are exposed to the world and the information coming from the world, the more we're drawn away from the things that we know better, from the purity that God designed into us. Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the fact that you designed us, that you created us perfectly, and that you said it was good, and that you said it was beautiful. Help us to try to stay as good and beautiful as we can. Help us to become pure. We thank you that you gave us your Son to die for us, so that in your eyes we can be pure, that you forgive us. Help us to to be corrected and to live as closely as possible to your design for us and your purpose for us. And we know that in doing so makes our lives easier for us and it blesses others. Lord, help us to seek out the good and to find it where it is and to encourage it. And we ask all these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.